Good morning. Welcome to Unity Spiritual Center of Panama City. I'm Ron Holdaway, licensed Unity teacher and spiritual leader here at our center. So welcome to all of you. It's great to see those on Zoom that I can see. And I know there's people joining us on Facebook, on our stream on Facebook. So welcome to you guys. Shout out to you guys for joining us. So thank you all for being here on this beautiful Sunday morning. It's been thundering and lightning and going like crazy at my house all morning. It's finally slowed down. but it's still a beautiful Sunday morning for me. Since the rain even was very beautiful today. So I think we'll have a great service today, even on a rainy day. It's a good day to be here with each other, to lift each other up, and to rise up. And so we're going to start off with this song that I played last week. It's called Love is Alive, and it's still appropriate. There was a technical glitch with it last week, so we're going to hear it again. So here we go. Love is Alive.
This morning, rise up and say, love is alive in my heart, in my life, everywhere, in the world, every place, in this place. Love is alive.
I was doing my best impersonation of Bob as we were listening to that song. So, it's so true. I mean, Bob gets with it in our services, so we miss that. That's one of the things we miss, right? So we're so grateful today for this, again, for this time together and this time of fellowship on Zoom, and this sharing the energy across this technology. It's so amazing. So even if the only prayer we ever say in our whole life is thank you, Master Eckhart says that would suffice. And we know that's the suffice, and we know that it's to be true. So we lift our hearts, we close our outer eyes and lift up our hearts and open our inner eyes as we join together in prayer this morning. We know that God is a love that has no end and a power that knows no bounds. God's healing power, divine life, is restoring healing, revitalizing our world in this very moment. We let go of any fears or anxieties, and we affirm that all are safe, healthy, and protected. We bless all those who support us in maintaining vibrant, radiant health. We support the work of all who seek to promote social justice in our country. We pray for guidance and wisdom as we seek to do what is ours to do. We express divine life in all that we think, say, and do. We bless our global community and our global family with radiant health, peace of mind, and abundant love. And for all of us here in this spiritual community, we raise our consciousness, we center in love, and we go forth to do what is ours to do in love. And so it is. Unity Spiritual Center, Panama City, we are open and accepting to all faiths. We encourage individuals, families, and people of all belief systems to join us in celebrating the divinity within themselves and within others. And we do this in a way to inspire and transform our personal being, our personal beingness. And one of the things, I was thinking about this, this slide I put this slide up, I think every day for the last, every Sunday for the last year. But, we had in our Lisenby building, we had the big banners with the 5 principles. Chris made us a banner that went under the TV, if you remember, with the 5 principles. So we recognize that these principles that we have in Unity are important, and we use these to meditate and lift our consciousness, raise our consciousness to a higher place. And we know these are the truths of that we teach in our spiritual community. I encourage you to you can pray on all of them. You can meditate on one individually, and then use these throughout your life to enhance your life. Our spiritual community is still involved with the AGNT, which we're a season for nonviolence. We put the affirmation for the week in the MailChimp on Facebook, and then we read it out loud on Thursday meditation. So take a look at this, go to this website and take a look at what they're saying about what we can do to promote this season of nonviolence. This is the 24th annual season of this promotion by the AGNT, Association for Global New Thought. The Zoom events at our center, encourage you. We have a great time. I'm just amazed at how much we laugh and hug each other, even again through the technology. We love on each other, and it's just it's amazing. Sometimes the Zoom, so many Zoom calls, I said, I don't know if I can do another one. But when I get with you guys and we start these calls, they're so uplifting, all of them. I've got classes on Tuesday night through UWM and UWSI, so I haven't been able to join on the Course of Miracles, but I hear great things, and I know you guys are really uplifting the consciousness and promoting love over fear, and I celebrate you for doing that. That's Tuesdays at 6 p.m. with Rose Floor facilitating. Wednesday is coffee and chat. I'll facilitate that, but we all facilitate that. Whoever shows up gets to facilitate that. Let's put it that way. And then Thursday is meditation. So join us. We have a very, it's amazing the energy that we share with each other for a few minutes of meditation together. So join us if you can at 11 on Thursdays. We have started, we have 2 classes of Becky's facilitation of the book, The Afterlife of Billy Fingers. And that's another thing that last week was just amazing. We really had a good time. And we'll have another good time this Thursday. So if you're interested, you can join us and listen in. If you can find the book, you can catch up. And even if you don't join the class right now, get this book and read it. It's really different. But anyhow, join us in class if you can. We have a good time together. Oh, today after service is a community chat on Zoom. So if you can, we'll start it just right after. We'll have a few minutes of fellowship, and then we'll start right afterwards. So we've got an update from the board, and then we're going to answer any questions that you may have and what's going on. We were talking about some of that before service started. So join us right after service today, if you can, for an update on what's going on in your spiritual community. And I put this slide up again, Women of Unity, just to say thank you again to Becky and Jean. Well, all of you, Rose. Obviously I shouldn't have called the names because I'll miss some of you, but you know who you are. All of you that are participating with the Women of Unity. It's just so humbling and so great to be part of the community that you guys are leading. So thank you for that. There is a meeting next Saturday, April the 17th at noon. Outside. So bring your lunch, bring a chair. And Becky, anything else you need to say about that? I mean, I think it's been in Facebook and on the email blast. So
no, you've pretty much covered it. Thanks, Ron.
And we talked yesterday, if there is rain, we're going to clear with Robert about with the temple about meeting inside. I don't think that will be a problem, but so the meeting will happen. We'll make it happen one way or the other. So join Becky and all the group, all you guys for the Women of Unity next Saturday. So thank you from the bottom of my heart and all the board. We appreciate your giving, your steadfastness in contributions and offerings, and just giving of yourself too. I mean, just being part of this community on these calls and on these Zoom calls and participating is just as important as the giving. So thank you for what you do give. I encourage you. I always say I encourage you to. I think we're way beyond any kind of thing that says you have to give so much or you just do what you can do, what you're led to do. Go into meditation and prayer, and you give from your heart what you're led to give, and we appreciate it. So let's hold our hands together, and we'll say the affirmation for our love offerings and our prosperity in general. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. I encourage you every week to let us pray with you. So send your prayer request in. You can send them to, right now, you can send them to me or Becky, or you can go directly to Silent Unity via the call. You can go to the website, send your prayer request in, and we hold those requests here, and then I forward them on to Silent Unity, where they're held in prayer for 30 days. It's a powerful part of what Unity is all about, this affirmative prayer. Let us pray with you. Okay. Slow down a minute. I wound up getting into that, and I talk too fast, and it's just time to slow down, which is hard for me to actually acknowledge, because being from the South, we're not known for talking fast. So when I get into that, I wind up talking too fast. So let's calm down just for a minute. We're going to start the meditative part of our service, and we'll do that with the reading of the daily word by Rose. Rose?
Okay, let me get me unmuted there. Okay. Our daily word for today is, with faith, nothing is impossible for me. With gratitude, I use my faith to trust in the good that is always present, even when it has not yet manifested. As I pray with faith, I discern the truth that always endures through even the most difficult circumstances. As I concentrate on harmony and love, all thoughts of lack, limitation, and discord simply dissolve. As I speak with faith, I use positive words to express my belief in myself and others as divine beings. As I act with faith, I access deep, lasting strength and fortitude that help me surmount any challenges. Inspired by my faith, I move forward with confidence. Nothing is impossible for me. Please affirm this with me. With faith, nothing is impossible for me. Again, please. With faith, nothing is impossible for me.
So it is. So such true words. Wrong slide there. So we're going to listen to "My Life is a Prayer" as we go into meditation. This is a song by Karen Taylor Good and Stowe Daly. I don't think I've played this one before, so this is you can watch the video or just let the words "My life is a prayer" and see as this speaks to you as we prepare for meditation.
What if a prayer is not a plea, a desperate call with tears that fall on bended knee, but breathing out and breathing in, it's God in me that lives and breathes, my trusted friend. My life is a prayer that God is praying. My thoughts are words that God is saying. My laughter is the sound of angels playing. My life is a prayer that God is praying. What if today I had the chance to move and sway? God leads the way in my life's dance. What if I knew without a doubt, no need to fear, God's right here within, without. My life is a prayer that God is praying. My thoughts are words that God is saying. My laughter is the sound of angels playing. My life is a prayer that God is praying.
So now I invite you, if you're sitting comfortably already, to just continue to relax as we've heard these beautiful words by Karen Taylor Good and Stowe Daly. My life is a prayer. What if my life is a prayer? We're reminded through many, many holy, sacred writings that we pray and that we are the prayer. We pray without ceasing. We pray without ceasing so that the prayer becomes us. Can you feel that in your consciousness today, that you are a prayer? You're the manifestation of everything good in the universe. And we touch this place in moments like this of quiet, silent meditation, where we sit and go within to realize that place of oneness, that place of love, that place of wisdom and peace and joy that lives and moves and has being in us. Sages of all religions and faith tell us that the biggest secret known to man, unknown to man for generations, was that the divine is buried inside of each one of us. Touch that inner knowing, that intuitive knowing, that place where God and you are one. My life is a prayer. Your life is a prayer. Take this into your awareness as you breathe deeply and just feel your body continue to relax. And hold this in your awareness. Take it into your consciousness and just breathe. My life is a prayer. My life is a prayer. In the silence. Now, so slowly you can take a deep breath in. Fill your whole body with that life force that comes from the breath, and then just release. Another deep breath in, and then exhale. One more time. Breathe in, I am, and exhale, God is. My life is a prayer. Hold that truth in your awareness throughout your day, throughout your week, that your life is indeed a prayer. So now I invite you to wiggle your fingers and toes and move your body and return back to this place, this physical place. And again, know that we can take this awareness with us at any time. So for the next 12 weeks, we are discussing how to stay centered no matter what from this booklet. And you all got a copy of this. I think if you did not get a copy of this book, hold on here, I can't see because there we go. If you did not get a copy of this book, let me know and I'll mail you one. It's a very good booklet. I really enjoyed it. As a matter of fact, if you've read it, if you read part of it, started reading it, if you're like me, I wonder why this booklet hasn't been published every year for the past 4 or 5 years. Staying centered has been a challenge for many of us, and I think we're going to enjoy. I know I enjoyed getting into the first part of it. The premise of this book is how to stay centered is using the 12 powers, 12 inherent spiritual faculties or abilities that reflect the divine nature and compose our divine nature. By being aware of these spiritual abilities, we can develop these into and realize these as powers. Charles Fillmore outlines this in his book, The 12 Powers of Man. And in Unity and New Thought, much has been written about this idea of the 12 attributes of the I am, the Christ presence within each one of us, and then that these abilities strengthen that I am presence within us. In Unity, we say that you're using these powers or these abilities consciously or unconsciously. They're always in use. And if you get into the study of this, you'll understand that that's the truth. The theme of the booklet is to consciously use these innate powers or abilities or faculties along with meditation, affirmations, denials, and prayers, to enhance our life and to stay centered no matter what. The 12 powers are faith, strength, wisdom, love, imagination, understanding, will, order, zeal, release, and life. Now, I thought about talking about each one of those, but we don't have all day. We got to chat after this, so that would be way too long. But I just want to give you, if you're not familiar with the 12 powers, those are the centers within, those are the powers that Charles Fillmore identified in his book, The 12 Powers of Man. And each power is represented by an apostle of Jesus and a body center where the power is expressed through the whole body. It starts in a place and then is expressed through the whole body. The choice of the body center was a result of Charles Fillmore's own prayer, meditation, and inner self-observation. Quite honestly, there's some controversy about where he got them and where they came from. There's lots been written that says he didn't make it all up. It didn't start with him. He enhanced it. It definitely is a pretty involved spiritual teaching. And so anyhow, this is what he has given us. So that's what we study. So today we're talking about how to stay centered using the power of faith. The faith center is centered in the pineal gland in the brain, in the brain. the physical brain. And Peter was the first disciple of Jesus. So each power is represented by an apostle. And Peter is the apostle that is representing faith. Before he met Jesus, his name was Simon, if you remember, or you may not remember. When Jesus asked the people who were with him, mostly his apostles, he said, "Who say you that I am?" It's almost the commentaries of all that is like the disciples didn't get it. The apostles didn't get it at first. They were saying he was a reincarnated prophet, that he was John the Baptist. They just didn't get it. And Peter is the one who said, "You are the Christ. You are the Son of the living God." Peter realized what we say in unity: "I behold the Christ in you and everyone else." So when Peter said that, Peter wasn't just saying that about Jesus, he was saying it about all of us. Unfortunately, some of the traditional Christian teaching doesn't realize that, but if you read on in that, that's what it says. With our power of faith, we perceive the reality of divine mind, the kingdom of good, the kingdom of heaven that is within us. Positive expectation, definite assurance that the power, presence, and promise of divine mind are real and here right now. The other thing that is associated with all the powers, which some people use, some people don't, is the colors. There's somebody later on, Charles Fillmore didn't promote this, but somebody in Unity came in and assigned colors to each of the powers. For faith, the color is royal blue. So those were added because of, I think, the similarities between the 12 powers and the chakras. And there's a color and, a texture. It gives the power that we talk about, and in this case, we're talking about faith, it gives it a texture. So in the Revealing Word is another book by Charles Fillmore that he put together to define these spiritual concepts of new thought and of unity. There's 3 pages of definitions about faith. Faith is not an easy topic. That's why it's a challenge to put together a 15 or 20 minute talk just on we can't do it in that. So this is just to whet your appetite if you're interested in getting deeper into this. But one of the definitions for faith is the perceiving power of mind linked with the power to shape substance. So what does that mean? That sounds like something, we're going to create substance. Well, we do. You know what it is? It's our thought. It's our third principle. He doesn't say that, but the substance that we're shaping in our mind with our power of faith is thought. It's the power of our mind is where that takes place. So we don't create anything in our life unless we first start with a thought, with something in our mind. Nothing comes into being until it's first a thought. And the stories and the metaphors in the Bible are all full of that. Other holy scriptures are like that too, other holy writing. It all starts with our thinking in our mind. So he says in Revealing Word, faith is a deep inner knowing, that which is sought is already ours for the taking. Close analysis shows that faith is the foundation for all that man does. And the reason is because it happens in the mind, the God mind, the divine thoughts. We must have faith in God as our source for all the good we desire, is what he says in Revealing Word. Now we know that as we interpret God as our source, the universe is source, or we could just say we have faith in source for all good we desire. Faith is more than mere belief, he says. It is the very substance of that which is believed. It works by love. Thoughts of condemnation, amenity, and resistance must be released and divine love declared. Then faith will work unhindered. So stay tuned. In 3 weeks, Rose will talk about the power of love. So that will be something we don't want to miss. We don't want to miss any of these, but that one will follow right up. You'll see that faith and love work as the foundation of who we are. So you can, there's all kinds of affirmations you can find. We could spend a whole class or whole Sunday of talking about affirmations on faith. One is, I claim faith now. I believe I am the best person and the best Christ I can be. Now we know that's the presence within us, not the physical entity of Jesus, or it's the Christ nature, the divine nature in us. And you can find some of that in Paul Hazelbeck's book, Power Up, where he talks about the 12 powers revisited as accelerated abilities. So we think, so as I was preparing this, I said, we think we all know about the power of faith in our lives. Faith is, in humans, is part of the mystery of life. Faith is what we believe and hope for. When we are faced with trauma or stressful situations, we turn to our faith to get us through these periods in our life. Isn't that what we've done in the last few years, particularly last year? Trish Yancey, LUT, by the way, she's a friend of mine. I went to the LUT school with her. So she is, and she's down in West Palm Beach, or Palm Beach, I think. And so she's an LUT, an associate spiritual leader, and she writes a lot for Daily Word. You'll see her in Daily Word, and she has an incredible singing voice. She's just amazing. So anyhow, she relates several life experiences and how she used her journeys, her life journey, with her faith. She claimed her faith in her family, friends, nurses, and yes, even Facebook, to realize life is a gift. That's what she says because she went through many, many challenges in her life, and that's where faith, in all examples we can point to, the faith that shows up. So as I was preparing this, I found a thing, I think a piece of paper I'd had about 15 biblical stories about faith. And I started, and they had little cartoons about the way I was taught those in the very evangelical fundamentalist church. The faith of the blind faith, you know, you've heard the term blind faith. The blind faith of three young men. We love seeing the name. There's a song to it. I can't remember the song right now, and I wouldn't sing it, but Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were told by King Nebuchadnezzar to bow down to this idol, and they said no. And then so one day the king was fed up with them, so he threw them in the furnace, the hot, fiery furnace. And that didn't work. They said our God would come and rescue us if thrown into the fire. And if he doesn't save us, even then we would not bow down to your idol. So that's an example. And we know that's a myth, but it's a very powerful story. Do we have blind faith? Would you jump into a fiery furnace? And you can imagine that when this was written several thousand years ago, when this was first written in the Bible, in the Old Testament, that was a very powerful story. Another one is Noah. Look at his faithfulness. And again, we know that at least I do, I believe that these are stories and myths about our own individual journey, spiritual journey. And but it's a great example of faith. It wasn't raining, but yet Noah built the ark and got all the animals. You know, a lot of people think he got dinosaurs on there too, but that's another story. You know, so, but he, see, that's the detail of the story that doesn't really matter. It's just the concept of having that faith. And then Jonah and the whale is another powerful myth about having faith. He was supposed to go. God told him to go to Nineveh to tell people about the power of God, so, but he said no. He was afraid to do that because they would kill him, and you know, they were enemies with the Israel. But Jonah, so they took him out and threw him in the ocean, and he was swallowed by a whale, or now the controversy is a fish, not a whale. So Jonah realized that it was God's work, all right. So he understood God was angry because he disobeyed him. So the sailors, when they threw him in the sea, he was in the belly of the whale, the fish, for 3 days. And then he came back up, and we might, you know, the story is that So he was come back up. The whale came up to the edge of the water and spit him out. So the story is that we might have troubles facing us because of a lack of faith, whatever that faith is, but it's never too late to have faith. And another good one is Job. Job was an impeccable follower he did everything right, obeyed God in all that he did. You know, by the way, the message in the Old Testament is the message throughout. When you look at these stories, the message was obey God and you are blessed. Disobey God and you're cursed. That was the message from the writers of the Bible, of the Old Testament. That was the belief that they had at the time. So anyhow, Job, you've all heard this story. Job had impeccable faith, and but Satan, the devil, evil, argues with that Job is only good because God, the Lord, has blessed him. So he told God that he would curse him if he takes away everything from him. So Job's faith was put to a test. His family died from natural disasters. He tore his robe, fell on the ground, cried out loud. And he said, Job said, naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked and naked I shall return. Blessed be the name of the Lord. He suffered from a severe skin disease, but praise God. So with all these things that happened to him, he still had faith that God will protect him. And that's what happened. God, he came back. The devil went away. And it's reported in the stories that he multiplied his wealth and his holdings 70 times what he had before he was influenced by that. The point of telling these stories is that faith changes and evolves, because we know now reading these that they're great stories and they're myths, but they're not literal. So, and these stories represent childlike faith. Again, these little cartoons brought back so many memories to me about telling these stories. And I could tell most of the details of this. And there are many secular myths and narratives in every culture that represents childlike faith. We have all kinds of secular myths on faith: Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the Star Wars, may the force be with you, and on and on and on. There's all kinds of stories about myth, about faith. So in Hebrews, now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. We all know that's a kind of a common, if you're raised in any kind of Judeo-Christian background, you know that verse. And then Jesus also said, because you have little faith, for truly I tell you, if you have faith of the size of a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from there to here, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. So this passage about the mustard seed is a famous, quoted all the time. That comes from Matthew. This passage concerning the function of faith in relation to the covenant of God is used to define faith. The evidence of things not seen almost is part of that, because of the grain of a mustard seed. So is faith simple? Jesus said, if we have this faith, we can move mountains. Metaphysically, this means move any thought that we have before. We have to have the thought, change the thought before there is physical manifestation or accomplishment. It first begins in mind as a thought. So the other thing that we think about faith, is faith just a belief? Is it just about religion? So I've gone through a lot of this with my studies in both as an LUT and in the ministerial program. And there's a book called Stages of Faith by Dr. James Fowler, The Psychology of Human Development and the Quest for Meaning. So he says, I've read this book because my faith, I want to understand what I believe. And he says, faith is not necessarily religions, about any religion, nor is it equated with belief. Faith is a person's way of leaning into and making sense of life. More verb than noun, faith is the dynamic system of images, values, and commitments that we have in our guides one life, that guides our life. Moving childlike faith to more independent faith, to universalizing, self-transcending faith. A full maturity is the human journey with faith. So we go from the childlike faith of these Bible stories to an independent faith, and then a universal self-transcending faith. So questions of faith for yourself. Does life have meaning or purpose? When you are most discouraged, what gets you up in the morning to return to the struggles or whatever you have to do for the day? When and where do you experience wonder, awe, or ecstasy? And what about doubt of faith? In the essay, in the booklet, Triss's essay confirms the idea that from profound suffering comes great wisdom and joy. So this is something great to think about. It is the things that you cannot do anything about, and the things that you cannot do anything with that do something to you. So these things that come into our life that seem so much suffering, these are the things, this is where we grow. So you must be ready to learn and not waste time looking for somebody to blame as you create this faith and move your faith. So is your faith challenged, or has it been challenged in your life? Well, it has been in mine. I've mentioned to you several times that I'm a recovering alcoholic. And it was, when I look back at those times, it was like, well, we talked this week in the Belly Fingers. Those of you who aren't there in the book, I'll tell you a little bit about it. He's looking after he died, he's looking at a hologram. His life is a series of holograms. And and as I was reading that and thinking about this, that's the way my life was. It's almost like I was looking at life as a hologram. My faith for years was limited to the people I was partying with. Now, it doesn't mean that I didn't have other parts of my life. My family was still there, my 2 sons and wife at the time, and my job. I kept my job. But this faith, the faith I had, was very unwilling to stop, to pause, to pray, to listen. It was just on autopilot almost. And yes, I had my family, and they loved me even more than I could love myself at the times. But the faith was empty. There was no faith. There was no substance to the faith that I had. So, so over the years, and since then, so I spent 20 years like that. Since 20 years of that, I've researched and searched for my faith, and was on a seeking and leaving my childhood faith and beliefs is not always an easy journey. So over the years in Unity, I've asked how, if God is principle, and then, if somebody in Unity asks you to, what is God? God is principle. God is the principle behind all. That sounds cold, doesn't it? It sounds impersonal. And so when I was studying a few years ago, I said, how can that be? How can I relate to God? Because what it was to me is, if God is principle, and then my little great-grandson sat on my lap, and I've told you this story before, and puts his little hand on my cheek, that's God. That's the presence of God right there in his little hands and his little face. And so Paul Smith, who is a progressive Baptist preacher, in his book Integral Christianity, he says the way to describe this, and he studied Teilhard de Chardin, who wrote about the 3 faces of God. It gives me a place to understand what God is. He says Jesus talked about God. He talked about God, to God, and as God. And so for me, that is the way I can have faith in God. So I use my spiritual ability of faith, my power of faith, to see God, the world, humanity, the planet, and me and myself in this idea of spirituality, of talking to God. It's almost like what we were talking about during what Karen and Stowe were singing about, my life is a prayer. And then also I mentioned this, that stay tuned for this, because the power of prayer, of faith, the power of prayer and the power of love are foundational to work together for our beingness. I think love is the answer. As Nancy Sanders always reminds me, no matter the question, no matter what the question, love is the answer. So thank you, Nancy, for keeping to remind me of that, so I don't forget. So where's your faith today? What do you, or whom do you turn to in time of stress? Has your faith evolved? Do you ever have doubt or a crisis of faith? Spend time with these questions in meditation, journaling, and prayer. Doubt and faith are opposite sides of the same coin. Embrace your faith and also embrace your doubt. We can see the doubt, but it doesn't have to drive us. It doesn't have to be the driver. Look at your doubts in meditation too, and the power of faith will strengthen you in your divine nature. So we're looking at the power of faith, how to keep us centered. No matter what, how to keep us centered using faith. I believe Trissy Yancey in her short essay gives you an answer to all of these questions. Did you catch it? Center, pause, care. I think that means love too. Center, pause, care, breathe, and pray. She says, knock and the door shall be open to you. It will open no matter which door you knock on, hope or despair. Either door, it's going to open. And then she says, I can't explain it in words. It's beyond words. I can feel it though. I let myself be still and know I am God. You are God. It's all God. So today, my friends, may you realize that faith at its essential core is accepting that you are fully accepted, and know that I am God and so are you. Let go and let the power of your faith be fully accepted in your own heart and mind right now. Namaste. Looks like we lost Bob and Rose. So let's do this. I'm going to offer the prayer of protection to you. Just, you can receive this however how you want, just as a blessing for our closing. So receive this either with your hands folded or on your heart, and or open. Just receive this as you will. The light of God surrounds you. The love of God enfolds you. The power of God protects you. The presence of God watches over you. Wherever you are, God is, and all is well. And so it is. Okay, I'm going to stop the recordings now.